year, February will be the presidential, primary.
All right, after that, moving into the controller's budget, salaries, benefits. Largest item in there is contract services. You wanna touch on that, Amir?
Yeah, it's gonna be reduced next year, so significantly. Because we did use, outside contractors while we had transition between the old team. Yeah, while we had a transition between the old team and the new team. So, yeah, they're still wrapping up some of their work. But other than that, nothing major.
Yeah, we'll continue to phase them out as our own people take on the full tasks, which for the most part we already have, but I mean, there are some odds and ends that we still need them to accomplish. Treasurer's budget, not too much there, I think all of 10 lines, mostly of
Yeah.
salary, insurance, and things of that nature. A little bit of contract service stuff in there. Chuck, anything off the top of your head on the contract service?
No, the contract services are just basic services that have been routinely performed. Printing the tax rolls, also the DIVDAT services, that's the kiosk where we get billed for that. The Brinks, they come by and pick up the coins every other week for the parking meter collection. And so it's all just routine. There's nothing in there that's special. It's basically what it has been for the last 3 or 4 years that I'm aware of. Any questions?
All right, assessors, we already did. Elections, back to Madam Clerk. Anything in there jumps
For
out?
which?
No, she already
I just
talked
spoke
about.
Oh, you already covered it?
elections.
Yeah.
All right. General administration, contract services are in there. City insurances, which we need to work on still, duly noted. We talked about that before.
And then the payment of loan, emergency loan.
Hmm.
229.
Yep, I see it. So, that one's outstanding loans that we gotta pay off. Any specific questions so far? Am I going too fast? I think that was a no.
I'm
We're
okay with
moving, we're covering ground fast.
What is the,
Building and ground we already did.
Yeah.
what is the loan amount we have to pay for?
What was that?
What is the loan amount?
229,000. So,
Is the loan payment.
yes. So. All right, human resources, nothing incredible out of there. There are some professional services associated with that for such things as new hires and such, correct, Shauna? Some legal notices, anything special you wanna mention, Shauna?
Nope, nothing else, it's all in here.
Okay.
The only major item is the MERS contribution, which is 6.2 million. So that's the contribution that we make to MERS.
Under the retiree costs.
Right.
And we're hoping that goes down, but we have to work with the numbers we have. So until that actually happens, but we anticipate it happening. Let's see, police department we did, park enforcement, fire department, sanitation services, that's garbage.
We did that last time.
Oh, we did do that one?
Yeah.
CED.
CED is the only one, CED and code
Code
enforcement.
enforcement.
Yep, so CED, nothing special in there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Carolyn's still out, so she's not here to defend it, but there's nothing crazy. And then code enforcement, same thing, pretty cut and dry, mostly salaries. So, I think that is it.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of the stuff is grants and things that are,
Yeah, we covered that last time, the major water fund and the street and the other fund.
all right, that was fast, but you guys wanted it fast, so.
So can you just explain to me, what's the difference between the amended budget and the requested budget?
Okay, the amended budget is the budget for 2022-23.
Mm-hmm.
The requested is for 23-24. this is what is going to be adapted once approved by the council and the city. This is going to become the budget for next year.
Okay, so some departments, it's almost double. Is that like, I mean, for example, salary was 79,000, then it would jump to 150,000. Is that the?
So it's, a lot of it's moving people around. Deputy city manager wasn't in city manager's budget before, so that one significantly went up. We anticipate raises in some areas, contractual raises in others. You know, I mean, it's
Some of the other departments, we did add a couple of positions.
staff.
You know, in those departments. So for example, code enforcement, we added some part-time positions in there. That's why you see the budget almost doubling in there. And then in controller area, we added staff, added an accountant in there in addition to the controller. So that's one addition. The other thing is that, especially in the controller area, last year, for a number of months, we did not have any employees there, and now we have an accounts payable, which has always been there. So these positions, like the controller position and the accountant position, you know, came in halfway through. So that's why you see a lower salary number for 2022, 23, and a higher number for 2023, 24. So these are just some of the areas. The other increases in salary, especially in the big departments like the fire and the police, these are just contractual increases that are there as part of their agreements with the city. So those increases are built into that. The other thing that what we have done is that this year, both in fire and city, we have had less than what the adequate manning should have been. So our overall payroll cost has been much lower than what it should have been. And that is why next year's cost is a bit higher, because we are planning to hire those vacant positions and have all the people in there.
What about, sir?
Yeah,
I have a question. We had a balanced budget, am I right, so far?
Right.
And Mayor asking you, so some of those last year budget was $79,000, this year $150,000. If we do not have enough money, do we hire those code enforcement or other people?
The people in court assessments, generally what they are paying them in salaries, their revenues that they are generating is more than offsetting those costs.
I'm repeating the question again. If we do not have enough balance, enough budget balance or enough money there in the account, still we're gonna hire those positions?
No,
No.
No,
Okay.
If
We
we're
had
running
a,
short, we will trim the budget accordingly,
okay,
but
then
we
if
don't
we have
anticipate it.
if we have some extra budget, extra amount of budget money in our hand, do we have to hire those positions? Or can we allocate this budget to some other places?
Move stuff.
we have to hire some positions, because those are affecting the performance of the departments.
And that's why the budget was lower last year, because they were all understaffed.
You know,
So now
and
that-
so if you don't want to hire those people, you're going to again have a problem that we faced last year, that we have departments which are understaffed, people are overworked, and, you know, things are going to be in a mess.
We're trying to staff accordingly moving forward.
Can I, Mr. Mayor, can I, quick question. So can you revisit those areas where we don't have staffing last year, we still survive well? How many
We
people we
did
needed
survive well.
with the mayor and maybe, I don't know, with
Well, I
city
mean, if there's
manager?
something specific you want to talk about, like a specific area, we can weigh out the pros and cons on it, certainly, Councilman. But I mean, we've moved things around and tried to adjust it accordingly where we feel the actual needs are in City Hall to accomplish the goals. I mean, we have been chronically understaffed for years, and I wouldn't say we survived well with it. We skimmed by, but that's not good. I mean, you can only do that for so long before city services start hurting, things start getting missed, people make mistakes, and, you know, everything goes wrong. So, We're doing things that are necessary to efficiently run the government.
The other thing we need to realize that as far as Hamtramck is concerned, there is a certain amount of revenue that we are generating, but there's quite a lot of revenue that we get by applying to different grants. Now, when we apply to different grants for reimbursement of our expenses, whether it is in terms of capital expenditure, in terms of equipment, in terms of services, whatever it is, that requires a lot of paperwork from those agencies which give us that money. So we do need people to do the grant work and to follow up and produce all the reports that are necessary to get the reimbursement. If we don't do that, a significant portion of the revenue will get lost because we don't have enough people to do these things.
Those are by certain department though, not every department are as important as like,
Actually, you know, a lot of the departments apply, so for example, police applies, fire applies for grants, community development applies for grants, you know, some of the clerk, you know, there are a lot of departments which apply for different, you know, and the paperwork involved could be required not just from those departments, but from the controller's office, the income tax office, or, you know, some of the other offices. So it's a combined effort that gets put in to reply to all these, you know, requests.
So Councilman, we did our best to anticipate what mayor and council would like to see moving forward. Hence the street sweeper, you know, we've carved it out of there. We know alleys are a high priority, we've carved it out of there for that. We know streets want to be, you want streets to be repaved, so we went really heavy in that area. I mean, we've tried to address everything that we thought council would potentially really want us to do.
And I think we are going with a very aggressive capital expenditure plan for next year. If you look at it, we are spending, I think, at least $5 to $7 million just in 1 year, next year, on different projects.
Yeah, all capital improvement stuff, so, I mean, we.
no, those are
we've been
definitely
listening.
good, we appreciate it, but sometimes like, someone make a comment yesterday, oh, while I was in Aladdin restaurant, they said, why you guys have so many staff on different department? And
That's definitely,
when we go to Hamtramck City, I see no, there's not much work needed to be done. I was like, I don't think we are really extra, but when this conversation started, I just want to clarify myself so I can give them proper answer that.
yeah, well,
I
mean-
think if you try and compare, you know, different departments to some of the other cities, you would find that we still are understaffed.
yeah,
Well,
it's,
that's
it's,
kind of depend on the geographical, like population, how much population they have.
I agree with that, but you have to understand the amount of work that is needed in Hamtramck is quite significant in terms of infrastructure, you know, investment, and in terms of, you know, keeping track of things.
geographically speaking, yeah, we're not that big population, we are. I mean, there's a lot of people in our city that need services, so, you know, even, you know, clerk's a good example of that, you know. I mean, you may see a few people in there, but come election time, they're significantly understaffed. Not to mention, you know, the daily tasks that we try and keep up with, but we're doing a lot of stuff that we haven't done historically because we have been so understaffed as well. A lot of things that got neglected over the years, we're picking up the ball again and carrying them. So, but we are not fully staffed. Even with this budget, we're definitely not fully staffed. We are still understaffed. We are just trying to balance it out a little bit.
At this moment, we are at least balanced with the staff, or we are still under?
The budget's balanced, and we're pretty comfortable that the staff is in a decent place right now. It definitely could be better, but we're happy with it moving forward.
Let's
So-
see how everything goes through.
So now that we are gonna use most of the revenue that we made last year, just to give raises and staff different departments, the expected result is that we should have more productivity next year, right? Not just to have more people and give raises with them.
100%.
For example, we keep hearing that they have so much money sitting in Wayne County, they just need us to apply for those loans. So we expect that for those grants, I mean, we expect that our excuse is always we are understaffed. But do we expect that we will seek some more grants from here and there to?
So, Mayor, we can't promise you that we're going to get grants, but we promise you that we're gonna write them. We've been doing that right along. We're in overdrive in grant mode. I mean, we're cranking out grants crazy
Yeah,
all
you
the time.
approve them almost every week.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
think
we keep
I
saying
think we're
they need
accepting one
follow-up.
tonight.
They need like staff to follow up with those grants, and even Wayne County officials, they were here and saying, you just have to apply either for like public
Well,
safety,
they-
public
they-
service, stuff that we qualify for.
In our defense, they do like to say that, and then don't always come through as well, so.
Well, then,
I think you have a very good point, and I think what we need to do to, make the council aware of what actually we have done in the grants. And I think we should give a presentation just on what we have done as far as grants are concerned in the last 1 year up till now. You know, how many grants that we have applied for, what we have gotten, what we are still pending. You know, there's a whole list, and I think that would probably give you an idea as to, how much work is going on in terms of the grant money.
and with the Department of Economic Development, the grant that we just received, 300,000, we expect to hire someone who is qualified, who can help us in that department. Because that department is, I think, understaffed and
Yeah.
is not functioning well. Like,
And
there's
that's-
so much project that needs to be developed in there.
So
and-
I can touch on that, Mayor, too. So, in the past 3.5 years, we've had 3 directors in that area as well. So, all the institutional knowledge is gone out of there, so each time someone come in, they start learning their job, and then boom, they're gone and have another one. So, we're now on one that we believe is gonna stick around, that is essentially getting it under thumb. And in addition, this grant just came through to add another person in there to supplement that. So I fully anticipate seeing a lot more things going on in there. I mean, we already are. We're already planning on having workshops and doing more things just with the grants that we've seen come through in the last couple meetings in regards to the brewery that got that grant. So there's at least 2 other residents that are seeking to apply for that already. And we plan on having a workshop with that. So once we get the staffing more leveled off and the people in there get a little more under thumb, we anticipate trying to seek out more grants even for our business owners and, our districts and see what we can do. But a lot of that stuff got missed over the years because we just didn't have the people to do it, I mean, we find ourselves turning away grants because we don't have the capacity to manage them all. And we pick and choose on what we can do. We tend to go for larger grants that we think we'll actually get as opposed to, writing a ton of them that, I mean.
Because a grant for like say $5,000 or $10,000, these are small grants, but the amount of work that is needed to apply for the grant, then to follow up, then to, submit all the paperwork and submit all the expenses and then finalize the reports for them, it just takes too much time and we just didn't have people.
But as time progresses, our hope is that we start seeking out grants for, residents and businesses as well. We have done that to some degree in the past, and I'd like to get to that point again. A $5,000 grant for a business is huge. For us, it's hard to manage, but my hope is that we're able to accommodate that eventually again, and not just that area. I mean, pick your department. Every department is seeking grants.
And is there something that can be done to make sure that we are getting that increased state contribution to the pension obligations that they passed last year?
Yeah,
Like-
we're on it. We're literally just waiting for the state to finalize the process. We're monitoring it. Every couple of weeks I check in with not only our pension, but also the treasury to see where it's at. There's a rough timeline they have in place right now. We're on par for it. We're literally just waiting for them to open the application and we'll be submitting for that one. So we fully anticipate we're getting that. There's no reason why we shouldn't. So it's just a waiting game, waiting for them to finish up what they need to do.
Is there a possibility that the Democrats can reverse that because they voted against it last year, but they were the minority.
I mean, anything's possible in this
Yeah.
world, but I don't think that it's gonna,
Nobody can say that.
yeah.
Well, I just hope we can get it because that would balance the Dickerson jail loss that we will lose at
Yeah, I-
least.
we're- So we've got the budget right now balanced with it.
Without the Dickerson.
Yeah.
I know.
If we
But I-
maintain it,
Yeah, I think that's the key, but going forward, you know, I've said this in previous, you know, meetings as well, that we have to focus on revenue generation for the city. And I think that is something that we need to do, keep on doing in the future. Not just look for grants, but look for enticing new businesses to the city and generating revenue on a regular basis, rather than one-off grants, because grants are one-off payments. You know, so you can use them to do one-off projects, but you cannot use them for a, you know,
Multiple side, yeah.
regular payments to regular ongoing things. So I think our key objective, you know, as the city council, as the city administration, needs to be to look for revenue generation. That should be our primary focus on, you know, moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing some big improvement in the income tax, which is surprising to everyone. Because in the past 20 years, it was
Lack of
almost the
staff?
same.
And then
You
Pam,
know, I think
Pam does an amazing
Pam
job.
has done
Yeah.
an amazing job.
So that's very, I mean, very promising.
And she's understaffed, you know, honestly, and underpaid, and, you know, I think we need to focus on keeping and retaining people, and pay them so that we retain them. We don't want people coming and going,
Yeah,
and have a revolving door, because that just takes away all the knowledge, all the work that they've done.
and that's why we are okay
guys
with
share.
giving raises to all the departments to maintain those people and
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
get more efficient work done.
Absolutely, I think if you have a happy team, you have a settled team, I think you can deliver a lot.
we're trying real hard.
Our team should be happier. We got into everything we could possibly do last couple meetings, right? From
Yeah, I think.
raise
I
to
think-
vacation and this and that, everything we could. you
Yeah,
know.
right, and I think you would see that the results in terms of the budget and what we are forecasting for this year, as well as what we are forecasting, that reflects what we have done so far. You know, I mean, honestly, when I came in and I looked at this thing for the first time, and I asked you know, one of the consultants, you know, why do we have a hole of 3 million? And there was no answer. And that was a nightmare for me to try and get us out of it. Because you cannot sustain the city. It'll, you know, it wasn't sustainable. So I think that is being reflected in all the hard work that people are putting in.
Yeah. So are we expecting over 6 million income tax next year?
Inshallah.
That's amazing.
Inshallah.
Because
I'm-
someone
I'm-
reached out to
I'm
me.
hoping.
Someone was asking me, are you sure this doesn't include Highland Park? And I was
No,
like,
no,
no,
no.
this does not, because we process Highland Park income tax.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, this can only happen if we add 130 million of income a year. But I was like, no, it's just the staff are more efficient to generate the
You
revenue.
hit it right on the nose. The staff's more efficient and we're getting people in here to do the job. I mean,
And we have more people in the
We
city.
are hoping, you know, we are hoping.
we've been missing the ball on all kinds of things over the years because of having a skeleton crew of just doing the bare minimum. And we frankly want to provide better services to the city. The city deserves better services. In order to do that, we have to have the staff, and we gotta maintain the staff we have. We cannot have a revolving door of people. The city has to pay its people well enough to want to stay with Hamtramck. You know, people can't worry about, you know, their income and their family, I mean, to some degree, obviously, but, you know, they can't be forever looking for a new place because they can't afford to work here.
Definitely, that's for sure.
Sounds
Max,
good.
one other question, the American Excel, the one side, they park their car, this is our area, right, this Hamtramck?
A very large portion of it, yes, it's split with Detroit, and it's funny. you
Detroit
mention-
get that side, left side, on the right side, the one,
Yes,
the part
there's
of,
blocks of property that they own in Hamtramck. And it's funny you mention that because literally we are trying to get through to American Axle right now and say, what are you doing with this?
yeah, we need to,
It's high on our,
Is it
Strong
somebody
discussion.
gonna give them a tax
I mean, there's all kinds of rumors and history
And
going
that's
back and
why they
forth, but the
built
bottom
on
line is
Detroit side?
I mean,
They don't wanna
you
give
can
a tax.
speculate, I'm not even talking about what happened with what over the years, but they own property in Hamtramck, it's a big chunk of property. We are actively reaching out to them, trying to find out what they're gonna do with it and see if we can do anything. Literally, that topic has come up multiple times in the past few weeks.
Yeah, we need to have a strong conversation. If we can open up any business or hotel or motel, you know,
We're trying to reach out to them.
That'll be-
That's the thing, I mean, same is the case with the Dickerson facility.
I mean, Dickerson a little bit off the road, but this is a perfect
I know,
spot for
but
opening hotel.
That's a revenue.
10 minutes from the downtown Detroit, you know, you can pay cheap rate here
So
and,
we're also interested in the old paint property at Connecticut 75, we're trying to see if we can push them into doing something too. So there's a lot of stuff on our radar that we're gonna try and stimulate something. So, and then like Amir said with Dickerson too, we want the county, well, we would love for the county to keep it and use it, but we need to have a plan for that. We, actually, the mayor and I just met with some county officials the other day in regards to that and hoping to push them along as well, so.
that's good.
All right, are we done with the
Good.
budget?
I think we're done.
All right.
Mayor,
Well, still
council,
don't have
we'll
quorum.
be bringing the budget back to you for ordinance and approval in the next couple weeks, and hopefully all is well.
Sure,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.